This is the tutorial video for the on-page analysis section of the Google Business Profile. And this video will go kind of quick because not much has changed in how we should be optimizing Google Business Profiles over the years. It's pretty standard operating procedure. It's not like the other sections of this audit where things are changing rapidly because of AI. There are some slight changes, but pretty much the Google Business Profile optimization, strategy is pretty much been the same for many, many years, which is just to complete the profile with, as fully as possible with accurate information. But there are a few things that I recommend because Google Business Profiles are not just about the on-page optimization now anymore. Is a lot of what determines how well it will perform are the engagement and activity signals. And so I wanted to take a few minutes to kind of talk through each of the bullet points within the audit that we are looking for as far as the on-page optimization and making sure that things are done properly and completed fully with accurate information. But also I wanted to take a few minutes to just talk about how activity and engagement is also something that is a significant ranking factor for Google Business Profiles. And so before we get into the bullet points, what do I mean by engagement and activity signals? Well, number one is, like, for example, receiving or collecting reviews, soliciting reviews from customers for a local business. That is an engagement signal because it can help or encourage or prompt consumers or customers of the business to then leave a review. That is a signal that is a user-generated signal. So it's actually weighted heavier than any sort of a signal that the business can produce via the GBP. So the other types of signals that I'm talking about are activity signals, such as, for example, Google Business Posts or publishing photos, right? Uploading photos to the Maps listing or the Google Business Profile, responding to reviews. So when new reviews come in from customers, if the business responds to all reviews in a timely fashion, then that means that shows Google, number one, that the business is responsive to their customers, but number two, it's another way to insert terms that are related into the products and services that the company provides and or the locations or area that it provides those services. So activity signals are things that the business can produce. Like I mentioned, Google Business Posts, uploading photos, responding to reviews, those types of things. Engagement signals are user generated. Those are when a consumer lands on the GBP and looks at photos, maybe clicks to expand Google Business Posts to review the post, clicks on links from within the post to, like, the Learn More button or something, looking at reviews, clicking on reviews and in photos and things like that. Those are all engagement signals. And then one of the most powerful engagement signals is leaving or receiving a review from a customer. So review velocity is one of the most primary rankings factors for Google Business Profiles now. So long as that the Google Business Profile itself is optimized properly, then if the client is receiving more reviews or reviews at a faster rate than the other top ranked competitors, that is something that will help the Google Business Profile to start to climb and start to perform better. Okay. So review velocity is critically important too, but all of these things come together in addition to the on-page optimization factors to help the GBP to perform better. So activity and engagement signals are critically important. Those are more difficult to spoof, right? And that's part of the reason why Google's placed more value or more weight upon them, because they're harder to game or manipulate. But for the profile to respond best to activity engagement signals, then the best thing to do is to make sure all the on-page is correct and proper. So that means complete the profile to its fullest extent and make sure everything is done accurately and well, for that matter. So we're going to go through each of these bullet points quickly because this will be addressed more thoroughly in the actual audit, specific video for the audit that you will have purchased. So we're going to start with the first bullet point here, which is it the proper URL for a Google Business Profile, meaning the website that the GBP is linking to? What is the page URL that it's linking to? I call that the location landing page. And so it depends on the situation or the circumstance, which type of business it is. Most of the time, most businesses are going to link to their homepage. If it's a single location business, then it makes sense to link to the homepage, especially if the if it's a single location storefront business, then linking to the homepage makes sense. If it's a single location service area business, then it might not always make sense to link to the homepage depending on how it is optimized or titled. And we talk about this in the other sections of the audit, but if it's a service area business and the website or the location landing page is the homepage, but the homepage is optimized for a broader area, the homepage is optimized for a city that the GBP is not actually located in, that creates a disconnect where the GBP and the website disagree with each other because Google knows where the Google Business Profile is registered and physically located. And if it's linking to a page that doesn't support that, meaning if it's linking to a homepage that is referenced or optimized for a different city than where the GBP is actually located, that's disagreement. That's a disconnect that causes the GBP to not perform as well and the website. And so if it's a service area business, it makes sense then to reference the area that the GBP is located within, which also is inclusive of the other locations that the client or the local business wants to serve in their service area. So what do I mean by that? Well, let's say it's a service area business that serves an entire county, but the GBP is going to be located in one city or town within the county. And so if the GBP is linking to the location landing page as the home page, and the home page is optimized for one specific city within that county, but they actually serve the entire county, there's a disconnect there because that's telling Google, this is who we are, this is what we do, and this is where we do it, and it's specifying one city, but then elsewhere on the site it says, oh yeah, but we also provide these products and services in these other areas too. So there's disconnect there, and that's why it's important to understand what type of business it is and what page you're linking to as the location landing page from the Google Business Profile. If it's a storefront business that is only serving one city, then linking to the homepage of that website and the homepage being optimized for that city, that makes sense. But if it's a service area business and it's linking to the homepage and the homepage is optimized for a different city than what the GBP is actually located in, that's a disconnect. But you can instead link to the homepage if the homepage is optimized for the area, right? Which in the example that I mentioned would be a county. If the homepage is optimized for a county name and that city that the GBP is located in falls within that county, then that's still a true and accurate statement. This is who we are, this is what we do, and this is the area in which we operate, and the city that we're located in is contained within that area. So linking to the location landing page, whether this is the correct URL or not, depends on the campaign. What type of campaign is it? Is it a storefront or a service area business? Is it a single location or multiple location? So all of this is determined based upon what is the appropriate or the best format for that particular business. Okay, hopefully that's clear. All right, next is Google Business Categories. Here's a link right here that goes over to a Google Doc that shows the kind of current most Google Business Categories. And I see a lot of this where the Google Business Categories are not all the relevant categories are added, and that is critically important. You want to keep kind of the broadest, most relevant category as the primary, and then any kind of supporting Google Business Categories that fall under the broader category when possible should be added as additional or supporting categories. Okay. But I also often see SEOs will select a particular Google Business category as the primary and then have a bunch of others that are additional, when sometimes the broader categories are added as additional categories instead of the primary. And just like what I was talking about on the homepage, when you optimize, you shouldn't optimize for a specific city unless it is a storefront business that only serves one city. If it's a service area business, you should be optimizing for the broader area that is all inclusive of the cities that they serve within their service area. It's kind of that way with the Google Business Profile categories, the Google Business categories. The primary category should be the broadest category that is inclusive of the additional categories when possible. Okay, sometimes that's not possible, but let's use an example of like a remodeling contractor. There's three kind of remodeling types of Google Business categories: remodeler, kitchen remodeler, and bathroom remodeler. But do you understand all three of those remodeler categories fall under a broader general contractor category, or construction company? But construction company also includes commercial and industrial type construction instead of just residential. Most of the time when we're talking about remodeler, kitchen remodeler, and bathroom remodeler, we're talking about residential, which is more relevant to a general contractor. Hopefully that's clear. So in the case of that, the general contractor should be the primary category, where then remodeler, kitchen remodeler, bathroom remodeler would be secondary or additional categories. Hopefully you understand what I'm saying, okay? So categories are really important, and it's important to have all the relevant categories added as additional categories too. If the category isn't present for search queries that are related to that category, how can the GBP be expected to rank for those search queries if that category is not present? So it's important to make sure that all relevant categories are added. Next are Google Business Reviews. We already talked about this, but it's not the quantity of reviews that matters anymore. Star rating does matter for sure, but it's not the quantity of reviews that matters now. What matters is the velocity, the speed with which the local business is collecting reviews. Getting more reviews at a faster rate than the other top-ranked competitors is one of the fastest ways, provided the on-page is done properly, the website is done fairly well, etc. Collecting reviews at a faster rate than the other top-ranked competitors will help the GBP to start to move up in the search results. So, and then as I mentioned before, not only getting reviews, but then responding to all reviews, both positive and negative, to show, number one, that the business is responsive to their customers. Number two, it's an opportunity to insert more relevance into the GBP by referencing products or services that the customer purchased and or the location or area in which that product or service was provided, right? And that gives the business owner an opportunity to engage with the customer. That's one of the engagement signals I was talking about, but then also the activity by responding, especially within a timely fashion, and inserting more relevance into the GBP by constantly referencing products or services and or locations, if that's clear. All right. And then citations. Citations are really critically important right now for not only map search performance in helping the GBP to perform better in map search, but also for AI search visibility. And there's really kind of three types of citations. When I say citations, that's a published mention of the name, address, phone number, and website, or some combination of those data points. It's a brand reference on external domains, external sources. So there's kind of three types of traditional citations, or what we would think of as structured citations, but then there's also unstructured citations, which are brand mentions anywhere else, or some combination of name, address, phone number, and website published elsewhere, okay? And so I always recommend trying to get at least 100 citations for any sort of Google Business Profile campaign that is in the United States with a published street address. Whether it's a service area business or a storefront business, it doesn't matter. If it has a published street address, the bare minimum number of citations that the local business should have for that particular location is 100, in my opinion. And that includes high authority, like structured or business directory type listings, which would be like Yelp, or and the types of directories that you can get listed on through things like Yext Power Listings or Uberall or something like that. There's also industry specific listings or published mentions of the brand on highly relevant publications. So that can be niche specific business directories or trade journals, industry association publications, things like that. So even really relevant blogs can count as with a brand mention in some combination of name, address, phone number, and website. Those can act as citations on relevant sources. And then there's also hyperlocal brand references, which includes getting the company listed in things like the Chamber of Commerce member directory for the local chamber, local municipal government business directory, local blogs, news and event sites, local news and media, doing sponsorships of little leagues, charities, churches, schools, things like that, and getting links back, doing link exchanges with other local businesses in that same general area. Also, our geographic link service at Semantic Links is a way of getting brand references on hyperlocal blogs. But then there's press releases. Press releases is also a very quick way to increase citation quantity, because you can get brand references on high authority media and news style sites. And so all of that kind of helps to improve the overall search visibility of the site in both maps, so Google Business Profile performance, it can help to influence or improve that, but also in AI search performance, because AI, the quickest way to get referenced or the brand cited in AI search results is not through on-page optimization, although that still matters. But the quickest way is through building brand references on those off-page sources like I just described over here, okay? So the point that I'm trying to make is citations are critically important for two reasons: Google Business Profile performance and AI search visibility. And I recommend a minimum of 100 citations for any sort of business that's in the United States that has a published street address. All right. Then we talk about the Google Business Profile optimization. So that's just essentially making sure that every section is completed, make sure there's photos added, make sure that if there's services, a services section, that you add a service mention for each of the services that the company provides underneath the appropriate Google Business service or Google Business category, excuse me. So make sure that the services are referenced under their appropriate Google Business category headings in the GBP. And then I always recommend adding a optimized description to any of the services that are important enough to have their own dedicated service pages on the main website. Same thing goes with products. If it's a product-based business, if there's products that are available for purchase on the site or at the store, if it's a store, then I recommend that you have all of those products listed as products within the GBP as well, and make sure that they have optimized descriptions. Adding photos is important. Making sure that every section is completed. Everything is really important to make sure it's done well and nothing is missing. All right, make sure everything's accurate as well. And then the last section of this is the Google Business Posts. I know a lot of local SEO professionals that just don't think that Google Business Posts are all that valuable. I 100% disagree, because Google Business Posts is a way to create those activity signals that we've talked about in this video, as well as if you are using the Learn More button, which is the call to action button that allows you to link it to page URLs, and you are using Google Business Posts the way that I recommend, which is minimum of publishing 2 posts per week per location, then minimum 2 posts per week per location. You can always do more, but 1 post per week should always have the Learn More button that is linking to a page or post on the main website that's relevant to that business location. Because if it's a multi-location business, perhaps there's some location pages on a site that wouldn't be relevant to that particular GBP. So you only want to be publishing Google Business Posts and linking to pages or posts that are relevant to that that business location when you're publishing Google Business Posts. But that would include linking to product or service pages, linking to location pages, linking to the home page, etc. But you should do at least 1 post per week where you're cycling through linking to internal pages or posts on the main website that are relevant to that location. Number 2 is link out to branded or supporting assets. All the types of stuff that we just talked about: citation building, the different types of citations, press releases, branded web 2s, any sort of external page URL that has accurate information published about that branded business location now becomes a link building target, or a target for Google Business Posts. That's what I meant. Meaning you want Google Business to be linking out to those external page URLs that have accurate information published about that business location, to force Google to crawl those pages and recognize that that is a corroborating data point that it can pull into the knowledge graph. And so it's really important to understand that Google Business Posts should be used as an activity signal, but also as a way to it's a linked connection from the Google Business Profile to supporting evidence, both on the main website as well as external sources that help corroborate or validate who the business is, what they do, and where they do it. So Google Business Posts are very, very powerful when used properly. But I see a lot of SEOs that just ignore this part throughout these audit. When I provide an audit review, and I get to this part, and about 8 out of every 10 Google Business campaigns that I audit are not using Google Business Posts properly. And then I recommend it, and 6 months later, they might come back and say, we're still not getting good results. And then I'll go re-audit the campaign and find out that they're not publishing posts because they just didn't feel like it was important. Just try it and see. But Google Business Profiles, again, just complete them fully, accurate information, and you want to then try to collect engagement and activity signals, or receive engagement from customers, but then also the activity signals that the business owner can, or the business can, produce through posts, responding to reviews, uploading photos, etc. So that's it for the Google Business Profile section. We'll see you in the next section.